Okay, good evening. So we have several interesting things to speak about. But first of all, I have to address the elephant in the room. But why do I have to address the same issue like in the 100th time? So I sense that we are in the middle of yet another clone charade. How many times do we have to say it? It's very easy to know if you actually received, whoever you are, the American, the Chinese, French, the Indonesian. It's very easy to know if you received the person that is really me, Noam David, or a clone. It's extremely easy. Actually, no check is actually needed. The only thing that you need to ask yourself is, how did you get it? Did you get it in a way that required any kind of cooperation with the Israelis? Like any kind of cooperation at all, like even the most minimal one? Did you speak with Israelis in the process of obtaining this person that is currently in your hands or was in your hands at any point? Because if the answer is yes, then it's a clone, 100%. Like, I mean, that's it. No more checks are needed. If you had to cooperate in any way, like even just by uttering a word with an Israeli, during the process when actually you obtain the person that you don't know if it's like me, Noam David, or a clone, then for certain it's a clone. It's impossible. I mean, any other ways. I mean, it's impossible. I mean, it's mathematically impossible that any other like reality will be the correct one, the valid one. So let me guess. It's not only that. First guess, when we say you, we mean the Americans. That's my first guess. And second, I mean, the Americans actually obtained the person. And second, that it's not only that you cooperated with the Israelis, but it actually was a deal, like a full-fledged deal. And it was like, I mean, transfer of the person, like, I mean, and like transfer of goods and etc. So, I mean, are you insane? I mean, of course it's a clone. I mean, you don't need to check anything else. Yes, and I'm still here, and I mean, the Americans will be punished by God severely for what I've done, because any such like a charade is just putting more torture on my head. So, as you see already. So, I mean, I try to put it aside because it's so, I mean, annoying. I mean, the United States is really, I mean, they're doing so much damage, and I mean, they must be stopped. Anyway, so I mean, one of the nice things that we've actually seen today, that like the container, I mean, where I placed like I ordered the command to create neos inside my body. I mean, most probably actually worked, because we've seen like in the P samples that, I mean, there were a ton of neos, much more than usual in P, and we have seen many samples of my P, and it was really demonstrable that there were many neos, and it's truly really neos, because I mean, it's not like the electrolysis chamber where there could be dots. It's a part of like my body. So, I mean, I thought that maybe, I mean, let's check if it's also true to my blood and my saliva. So I've taken a blood sample, but blood is very difficult to actually examine without, I mean, it's very difficult to actually identify the neos. I remember it from like previous, I mean, research, like experiments, that, I mean, it's, if you want to actually detect the neos, it's extremely beneficial to use the blue color, the eosin white or something like that. And I don't have the colors, like the stains. It's called stains, and without them, it's very difficult. I mean, I've seen several neos, but I mean, it's very difficult without the staining. So, but let's take a look at the saliva example, which is much more like easier to see stuff. I would only say that, I mean, when you like analyze like a saliva like a saliva sample, it's easy to mix between neos and water bubbles, because there is a lot of bubbles, like air bubbles in the saliva. So maybe I'll do the mistake myself. So please, I mean, if anyone like feel like that, I mean, they can contribute to this issue of how to actually like detect neos inside the saliva, and to know that it's not some kind of a bubble, I will gladly get any comment on the matter. So let's take a look. Okay. This is regular magnification, 64. So what are these? Are these bubbles or Neros? I'm not sure myself. These looks like Neros for certain, and very, very big ones actually. But so here I'm not sure, are these all like bubbles, Neros, or both? If they are all Neros, then I mean, yeah, I mean, certainly we have like a huge amount of Neros in this saliva, like, since that this is a Nero. I mean, yes, so yes, I can say that even if many of these are actually bubbles, still, I mean, yes, there is certainly like a ton of like Neros in my saliva, much more than was actually like, I mean, we have a saliva, at least one saliva like slide and like review in this channel from January or February, so you can actually take a look yourself, and it looks nothing like that. Wow, okay, these are Neros for certain. Okay, so yes, I mean, certainly we can say with like almost 100% guaranteed that this experiment actually worked as planned, and my body now contains much more Neros than before. I should be very careful with experiments with the Titan like containers. As you've seen, I've already made the huge mistake of like multiplying tremendously the life forms in my body after I already like managed to to actually reduce them. I mean, so, and the progress was completely reversed, and like, I mean, and then some, as they said. And so you need to be very careful when the container, I mean, when you symbolize the container, which is your own body. Actually, I have like also like experiences with this regard from like the past, and maybe I'll speak about it later. I mean, like an example of something that, I mean, could be done like by mistake but should be avoided is, I mean, what I naturally do after, like, I mean, I create Neros like in a container, is that I use the enlargement like symbol to like try to make them bigger, and I've actually succeeded, but to some degree, but not to the degree that I actually want. I'm still working on it, but this is something that, I mean, I think it's extremely dangerous and not needed to do like when you're inside your own body, because, I mean, do I need like spaceships inside my own body? I mean, it can kill. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, like the same is that, I mean, I mean, you know, I mean, like you have like white blood cells, and they are very beneficial, and they are needed, like, you know, like to fight like viruses. It's the same as like the things that neurons in my body. But I mean, the fact that they are beneficial, I mean, and if there are like not enough white blood cells like in a human body, I have 0 white blood cells count. But I mean, the Homo sapiens is that we have like, if it's too low, I mean, then the body is at great risk. But it doesn't mean that you will want to actually enlarge them. I mean, I mean, if you have like white blood cells that are 10 times the normal size, then, I mean, you are a mutant, and something really wrong is going on. So, I mean, the same here. We don't, inside my body, I wouldn't want like to have like, I mean, huge Neros, because it's like, it's just, I mean, it doesn't fit, and I mean, it could have also like dangerous and even lethal results. It's best to just keep them like the normal size when they're inside my body. But yes, certainly, I mean, using the saliva like sample, and like the sample that we've seen before, I mean, it was, I'm so tired because I haven't slept for, it's the 4 days, it's the 4th day without sleeping, just, I mean, 1 hour today, like during the day, just 1 hour, and since I didn't sleep for the last three nights consecutively, so I don't even remember. So we've seen the saliva now, and before that we've seen pee, yes, and so yes, I contain So one thing in certain, even when your body is flooded with neurons, you still need to get some sleep. After 4 days, you are very, very tired. So I should get some sleep. So I wanted to say, one more thing for the record regarding the ring experiments. So I thought about it like a bit today, and I think that I want to just a little bit change, or not change, just adjust my course, like adjust how I actually like confront this issue of the rings, because until now I've done it like in very naive way. Like I try to actually always find the symbol of the ring, and hopefully that the neurons will actually to teach them about rings, like real rings, and then hopefully they will be able to actually interpret the symbol correctly, and then like follow suit and create rings. And yes, they actually managed to actually understand the symbol, but it was very, very evident that they are doing it like without any like order in clueless matter that cannot, and even if they had like substantial like increase in workforce, which we currently can actually supply them with a substantial increase in workforce, and even if we give them like more material, it's not like it's just by observing the naive like prototypes that you already created in the microscopic scale, you can say that this thing will not become like a ring because it's too naive like in its construction. So yes, they are the good news. The point is that they actually interpreted correctly the symbol, and they tried to create it. But I now understand that it's probably this issue should probably approach with more like systematic solution where I myself need to actually refine the process. Mentally or ideally. So the first step of refinement, which is quite obvious, but I haven't done it, is to separate between the round shape, which should be made out of gold, and the diamond. Because there are two very different things. So I now think that I will try to I try to separate it to raw materials, containers that deal with raw materials, containers that deal with refinement of raw materials, and containers that deal with the final product. So, and this should be double for both the gold and the diamond. And so I'll probably start with the diamonds. So I will not try to create rings immediately, but only that. Let's start with diamond. My hypothesis, and it's not proven, that actually diamonds could be much easier for them than gold. Just by the fact that I do not supply them with the elements at all, and they need to actually tinker with in the subatomic levels, with the number of protons, in order to actually create gold. And this is something that is, extremely complicated and completely outside of the realm of physics. Humans can do it using the known physics of humans today, but only with super colliders and immense expenditure of energy. But you don't need to mess with protons in order to actually produce a diamond, because it's made of carbon, and carbon is readily available in million forms. So maybe it will be much easier for them to start with actually diamonds, not gold. So I will start with diamonds, and I will use, as I said, three containers. The first one, which will be the creation of the raw diamond, and this will be the hardest one. Because because we already know that they don't have problem with fine works. My assumption is that it will actually be much easier for them to actually I forgot the word, how do you say the cut the diamond, the craft of cutting the diamond, which is some form of, possibly even in the highest level, even a form of art. I would suggest that it's probably not hard at all for the neurons, because we've seen them cutting, cellotape, which of course it's not as hard as a diamond, but they cut 2 million pieces, and each piece was geometric like a diamond. This was demonstrated in several slides, so it's effects that they can cut very small things very very sharply and very precisely. So I mean, my assumption is that the most like energetically, I mean, the container that will do the most, require the most work, and although I mean hardest electrolysis and perhaps all sort of like consideration with temperature, is the creation of like the raw diamonds out of like other carbon stuff. So I mean, I can use just, I mean, stones that contain carbons, or I mean, just dead life forms. You know, it's also made out of carbon. I mean, everything is made out. I mean, not everything, but I mean, in this planet, carbon is very popular. I mean, arguably, I mean, in other planets, I mean, silicon can be as popular and maybe even more popular. But I mean, let's leave it aside. There's always a ton of silicon in Earth. I mean, it's not that Earth is like deprived of silicon. It's just that, I mean, life forms here are like all made of carbon, and also, but in addition, many other stuff are made out of carbon. So yes, so this will be the first stage. The second stage, which probably, I mean, from like the human perspective, is the most complicated by far. But my assumption is that it will not be as that difficult for near is to cut the raw diamond. And the third stage will be actually we're still, I mean, we're not there yet, but I mean, theoretically, the third stage will be actually to take this diamond and to like put it on a golden ring. But for that to actually happen, we actually need to have like a parallel process of like, I mean, creating a gold nugget, or just, I mean, gold powder, and like and then creating like ring out of it. But let's postpone it to later, because I guess that my assumption is it's actually going to be difficult for the Neros. And diamonds are also, if we will be able to actually create like diamonds, especially cut diamonds, like beautifully cut diamonds here, I mean, so even if it's not going to be like rings, like I promised my daughters that I will bring them like rings that the robots created, but maybe they will make do with diamonds if they will be like big enough, so they might forgive me. I mean, because the rings are, I mean, diamonds are also, I mean, when they're big enough, they are, I mean, humans like them as well, not only gold. So that's the plan, and maybe I should get some sleep, because yeah. So like I'm like a Megamen now with like billions on billions of neurons in my body, but I mean, I still have to get some sleep. So I think that will be like all for now. And please, I mean, rescue me and my daughters from the Nazi prison. This cannot be done using mouses and tongues. You have to use arms and legs. You just have to.